Welcome to my economics channel, where I love discussing the subject, but most importantly, I love to make it something fun and interesting to learn. And to that end, I want to solve that paradox of the broken window, whereby there is a storm or some sort of other natural disaster comes on through either your town or your city or whatever other location we're talking about. It breaks a bunch of windows. It doesn't have to be specifically windows, of course, but just as an easy way to visualize it, I guess we just refer to windows. So a bunch of windows get broken, and what happens is after that we want to repair the windows. So whoever the owners are or whoever's responsible coughs up the money. They then pay the window repair shops, the glass repair shops, whoever exactly it is, and then they come over and those shops, they come over and repair all the windows. And those glass repair businesses now have money that they didn't prior to the storm coming in and hitting the town, the city, or whatever locale. So that's extra money that they have, and they now start spending that money. They might spend it in the economy, they might go to supermarkets, they might even order more equipment. They might expand their business, they might even hire more workers, and so on. So basically what we have is this idea that a storm comes through, smashes a bunch of windows, or basically just breaks a bunch of things. We need to repair those things, and then this stimulates that part of the economy, that economy that deals with repairing things. And so it seems to come up as a paradox because we have this wave of destruction coming in, but then ultimately that proves good for the economy, or at least good for the community, because it's this extra money that seems to be coming in and then seems to be feeding down in the economy. Because of course those glass repair businesses spend money, but then the places where they spend the money to, they also have additional money. For example, if those glass repair businesses spend money at a supermarket, well, that's extra money for the supermarket, and so on. So how can we resolve this paradox? Well, there's a few things we're not seeing here. The main thing we're not seeing, firstly, is where the money is coming from, but we're also not seeing what other uses that money could have had. See, if you follow the logic, it would then seem that we don't actually have to wait for a storm to come on through and smash a bunch of windows to stimulate the economy. Well, we can just go out and break these windows ourselves. And then you might think about that and you might think, well, actually what's happening is we have these businesses which are sort of waiting in the wings or on the sideline, if you will. They're very important to the economy. And so then when a storm does come, which seems to be happening much more frequently in recent decades, when it does that damage, then us paying those businesses rewards them for their existence and for being able to act really quickly, and then can repair whatever damage they need to, and then we can get on with our lives. And so then on the one hand, we have this deliberate act of going out and smashing windows, and we say, oh, that's wasteful, that's bad. What other things could we be doing instead of smashing windows? We should be creating things. Versus, on the other hand, a natural phenomenon, something we couldn't possibly predicted. We don't control the weather, and it came in, it did all this damage. Then ultimately, it's good, it's beneficial that these businesses are around. And ultimately, that's where we can understand the difference between us doing it deliberately on the one hand, and then happening as a force of nature on the other hand. However, then we have to ask ourselves, is it a distinction without a difference? See, what we're not seeing is what the people could be doing instead of going out and smashing windows. We're not seeing what other productive things they could be doing. Similarly, when that storm comes in, smashes a bunch of things, and then we're paying these businesses to come and do these repair works, we're not seeing what other things we could be doing with that money instead. If you're a homeowner, for instance, and a bunch of your windows get smashed, then you then have to pay for them. But we're not seeing what you could have done or what you would have done with that money absent the windows getting smashed. And of course, you as the homeowner, you're happy to be able to pay someone to repair your window. But we should not confuse that as being stimulative for the economy as a whole. Yes, it does help the window repair shops, and that's the reason they exist. But on a macro level, we've actually lost GDP. See, when the windows got smashed, that is GDP that is destroyed. That is wealth that is being destroyed. When your windows that got smashed, when they were first created, that's GDP that got created. There was also a whole bunch of middlemen that were involved. And obviously, creating the window itself, forming all the materials. There's also the machinery that created it. There's also the people that installed it in your house, and so on. All of that adds to GDP. All of that is subtracted from GDP when the storm comes in and does all the damage. And so then you paying money to repair that window, that doesn't add to GDP. And so that ultimately is how we solve the broken window paradox and why it is actually not stimulative for the economy when windows are smashed and when the money is spent, even though that money is then spent on from the window repair makers to other places. We don't see what the money would have done absent the smashed windows through that storm coming in and breaking all those windows. And maybe that the money going to these glass repair businesses and then getting spent on, that might not actually be the best use of money. And maybe that if it's spent in other parts of the economy, would lead to more growth and more things for the future. And so yeah, that's why storms are bad. That's why we don't go breaking things on purpose. And that's why just paying people to repair things is not the most efficient use of our time and our resources, and indeed not the best use of money either. And ultimately why, when we probe a bit further, we can see that when a storm comes in, smashes things, and people get money that they didn't get before, that they didn't have before, that is not stimulative for the economy as a whole. It's actually a net loss of wealth for the economy as a whole. And there are other better uses for the money. But that's all I wanted to say in this quick video. Thank you for watching. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, that will help my channel, help me grow and reach a wider audience in the future, and ultimately, of course, earn money, because that's every YouTuber's dream. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask below, and I'll do my best to answer, or at the very least, I'll collate the questions and answer them in another video. But that's the end of that. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.